go play. We're Virginia trekkers and we trek through sleet and snow, through the valley and ridge and the Appalachian Plateau.
We're traveling to Newport News, which is about an hour east of Richmond, located on the James River. The year is 1862, and we're here to watch the Battle of Williamsburg.
I'm David.
I'm Frank, and this is Maya.
And I'm Alfonso.
And we're Virginia Trekkers. And we're here today at Endview Plantation in Newport News, Virginia.
And we're on a battlefield, and we're going to get to take you on a tour of the Battle of Williamsburg.
So while we get our equipment primed up, we're going to take you on a little tour of the encampment area. So let's get ready to go trekking.
Let's go!
Woo! All right, boys and girls, just sharing a little cup of Joe with our friend Clyde from the Cavalry. We call it Cavalry because they all train together. They meet every weekend, they would just train, and then when the Civil War started, they either went to the south or they went to the north. So they had the Cavalry. Clyde's going to explain a little bit about the importance of the Cavalry. So Clyde, just tell us a little bit about what the Cavalry did or the importance of the Cavalry.
Well, the main thing with cavalry is we were the eyes and the ears of both North and South armies. We'd be sent out mostly for reconnaissance, and then if you had a major battle where you were getting overrun, and if you had the cavalry numbers, you would be sent out to do flanking movements, to where you go around one flank, and then send another group around another flank, and you come in and do what they call the pincher movement that Hannibal and Caesar and Rommel and soldiers like that used back in the old days. And it was a very, very effective maneuver because you can move very, very fast on a horse, and if you did it right, you wouldn't be seen.
Thank you, Clyde. We appreciate your time.
You're more than welcome.
And thank you for all you
back
do.
here.
The woman's role during the time period 1861 to 1865, considered the war between the states, was to set the deportment in the home. They took care of everything that needed to be done in the home, supervising all of the different things, the linens and the meals and that type of thing. But when the husband went to war, it fell upon them to run the plantation and to see that all things were taken care of in that department. Now, with the food shortages, because you have to understand in the South, there were a great deal of shortages, and they had to do with what they had. They also had to think about ways to protect the food and their valuables in case they were put upon by the invaders, because they had to hide all of those things to make sure that they saved them or they would starve. The other thing that was the role of a woman was in the case of a death, they set the deportment for the mourning. And if you did not mourn well the loss of a loved one, you were looked down upon or even shunned.
Is that why you're wearing black? Is that mourning?
Yes, depending upon the stage of mourning that you were in. I am not actually wearing mourning now. If I were in deep mourning, I would wear everything black and very dark crepe. If I had mourned for at least a year, I would then go into second stage mourning, and I could wear a white collar with my black, and I could begin lightening things a little bit. I might have to mourn for 2 or 3 years to be considered appropriate, and then I could move from a little white accessories into a mauve or a pale gray. But I had to make sure that everyone mourned properly, or our neighbors would just think terrible of us.
Welcome to Stinky's Den. Yes, the cook of this army. Skunk, thus the name Stinky. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can find Stinky to see how many people he's fed in this army. And let's see exactly what the soldiers got to eat or maybe even what the top soldiers, like the high-ranking officials, got to eat. Come on, let's go find Stinky. Hi, boys and girls. Over here with Stinky. Hi, Stinky. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good to see you. We're going to talk to the boys and girls a little bit about Civil War camp life and what they ate.
What would you like to know?
Well, yeah, exactly. How did they eat, or what type of foods did they eat?
Well, basically, the Army supplied them with a ration of salt pork, cornmeal, and maybe if they were lucky, a potato. And they would get rations every 3 days for the troops. And most of the troops found that if they fried the salt pork, then they'd take the hardtack or the potato, they would fry it in the grease, and they would eat it all at one time because it's easier to carry it inside than it was to carry it in a haversack on the march. So by the third day, they would be real hungry, and they only got it if the wagons and the supply people could catch up with them. A lot of times they lived off the land, what they could find.
Wow, every 3 days. Did you cook for the soldiers online, or did you on the front line, or did you cook for more the higher ranking officials?
No, I'm as old as I am. I can't be a soldier, so I do my part in the war by cooking for the general and his staff, and they do eat just a little bit better.
Was there a lot of case of food poisoning, or because of food spoiling? Were there a lot of deaths or injuries occurring with that?
Oh yes, dysentery was very rampant in the Army. And they call it the screamers. That more men died from illnesses, mostly foodborne, than died from bullets. Because if you look at the medical records, most of them died from internal disease.
There you have it, boys and girls. It wasn't just the guns or the ammunition that killed the soldiers. It was the disease, and it was the lack of hygiene that went on in these camps. So, I'm a little hungry. Stinky's going to cook up a good meal for me. We're going to play a little bit of dominoes, something that they played a lot of while they were just kind of waiting for the next battle. Come on, Stinky, let's play some dominoes.
You could explain what that was?
All right. I'm Colonel Greg Gallion. I'm Chief of Staff for Longstreet's Corps. Sitting beside me here is Major General Dave Cornett. He's in command of Confederate forces here. Across from him, Colonel George Miller, who's Inspector General for the Army. Against the building here is Senior Aide Colonel K.C. Meadows. We're part of Army staff. Each started discharging duties for the good of the Army, and when the battle commences here a little bit later this afternoon, we'll all be on post or with duties delegated to us by the General, and trying to make sure that all the infantry and cavalry or artillery are coordinated, and everybody has a good time out here learning a little bit about our history.
Right wheel! Right wheel! March!
Ready? Oh, so we're basically changing fronts. We need to move in this direction. We're facing this way. We do this. Company. Right. Face.
Step up.
Company. Forward. Forward. March. 5 files right. 5 files right. March. Five files right. 5 files right. March. Files right. March. We want to change our battle front in this direction. Company, by the left flank. By the left flank. March. Back in the battle formation. Company. Halt. We're back in our formation. Company. Backwards. March. We never change. We never show our back. We show our head. I hope. Company. Halt.
Let's talk about what a typical Civil War battlefield might look like. On our battlefield today, we have earthworks. The Union soldiers will be represented by the gray dots, Union by blue dots. We have both cavalries, both the Union and the Southern Cavalry. And we have our field artillery, also known as cannons. In a Civil War battle, it's all about position. The battle might open with some heavy artillery fire to soften up the enemy lines. And here we have a cavalry charge by the Confederates, which is countered by the Union soldiers. Both cavalries retreat back to their lines, and then we see a Union troop advance. This advance is countered by the Confederates, and the Confederates come out on top and force the Union back to their lines. Confederate make an offensive move, which is countered by the Union, which is countered again by the Confederates. The Confederates force them back to their lines. Confederates see an opening here so they can move their cannons forward and start to reduce the number of men on the Union side. When there aren't enough men on the Union side to fight anymore, it forces the Union to retreat, which results in a Southern victory.
Hey boys and girls, it's the moment we've all been waiting for. The battle's about to start. You can see the Southern soldiers are taking their positions. Get things started. Get ready to plug your ears. Things are going to get loud.